After months of massive lockdowns, China claimed it beat the coronavirus. But now we're seeing a second wave. This is China Uncensored. I'm Chris Chappell. Hey, remember when the Chinese Communist Party locked down Wuhan, the epicenter of the coronavirus outbreak? They shut down the entire province. That was 58 million people. Sure, it was a harsh response, but according to state-run media, it worked. But despite that, China appears to be seeing a second wave of infections. I mean, who could have seen that coming? China is most likely going to see a second wave of the coronavirus outbreak. And guess what? Now another 100 million people face a coronavirus lockdown in 3 provinces in northeastern China. Over the weekend, Jilin province reported 120 new cases. Reminder, always take officially reported statistics with a grain of salt, a large grain, or maybe a 25-pound bag. But the important thing is, these new cases couldn't have come from people in China. No. Chinese officials claim the new cases came from Russia. So now they're blaming foreigners. I mean, who could have seen that coming? We may be able to see it by looking at what they are starting to call imported cases. And we'll see the narrative shift to blame outsiders. But how bad is this second wave of the CCP virus? Well, there are signs that it could be really bad. The Chinese state is seizing control of PPE factories, suggesting the communist regime might be preparing to hoard medical supplies again, like they did when the coronavirus outbreak first began. On the other hand, this might be a sign things aren't that bad. This week, China began its biggest political meetings of the year, the 2 sessions. Those sessions are a big deal. In fact, one of the reasons the Communist Party covered up the coronavirus initially was because they didn't want to interfere with the 2 sessions, which were originally supposed to be held in March. Since the 2 sessions are happening now, it might mean things aren't that bad. Or they could be getting bad, but it would be too politically embarrassing to postpone the meetings a second time. But either way, the delegates are wearing masks, just in case. And now it's a time when I answer a question from you, my loyal 50-cent army, fans of the show who support what we do through the crowdfunding website Patreon. R Swags asks, is the Trump administration the first to be critical enough of China to tell the truth about them? An interesting question. Certainly the Trump administration has been the toughest administration on China in many decades. For years, the prevailing wisdom in Washington was that the Chinese government would make reforms if we just work with them. But that idea eventually just showed itself to be dead wrong. But is the Trump administration the first to be critical enough of China? The administration has generally taken China relations in a better direction, at least from America's perspective. But there's more they can do. For example, stop saying things like,
I have great respect for President Xi.
Instead, Trump should be saying that about the president of Taiwan, a president who, unlike Xi Jinping, was actually elected. Pompeo's congratulatory message to her last week is a good start. The Trump administration has encouraged U.S. companies to leave China, but they could go further. The Japanese government is now actually paying some of the costs for its firms to relocate elsewhere. And the U.S. could put sanctions on Chinese officials who are involved in things like the cover-up of the CCP virus, or putting Uyghurs in concentration camps. And hopefully, those things will happen, regardless of who the U.S. president is. Thanks for your question, R Swags. And for all of you watching, if you want to stand up to the Chinese Communist Party and YouTube censorship, consider joining the 50-cent army too. You'll have a chance to ask me questions on the show, and there are some other cool perks as well. Check out patreon.com/China Uncensored to learn more. And be sure to subscribe and check back every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday for new episodes, because YouTube isn't always sending out notifications about new episodes. Fancy that. Once again, I'm Chris Chappell. See you next time.